Welcome to Rising Woman Leaders. I'm your host, Meredith Ram, and I believe the time has come for women to share their gifts, their voice, and their stories. I love seeing women spiritually and financially empowered, thriving in their life's work, and doing what they love every day. I've gathered a community of women living their dreams to tell us their stories and inspire us to step into more courage, self-love, and feminine leadership. If you like this podcast, follow me on Instagram at Rising Woman Leaders and sign up for email updates at risingwomanleaders.com. Now get cozy with a journal and a cup of tea. I hope you enjoy today's show. I'm here today with Samantha Skelly, who is an entrepreneur, sought-after international speaker, best-selling author, and emotional eating expert. As founder of Hungry for Happiness, a movement to empower women to overcome their disordered eating and body image issues, Samantha has revolutionized the weight loss industry by examining the individual and underlying causes of eating disorders. She shared her mission on an international platform with appearances on Global TV, Shaw, NBC, CBC, and BBC. She's been featured in various publications, and Samantha continues to spread her message and transform the lives of thousands of people through her program, international retreats, motivational speaking, and the popular Hungry for Happiness podcast, as well as her best-selling book, Hungry for Happiness, One Woman's Journey from Fighting Food to Finding Freedom, How to End Binge Eating Forever. Thank you for being here, Samantha.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure.
Well, I imagine that this all began with your own story of having challenges with food, and amazing that you've come to this point of helping so many people. But could you take us back a little to just kind of your struggle? Where did that start? What was that like?
Yeah.
Also, there was a specific moment when things started to change for you.
So I grew up as a dancer and an actress. So the majority of my life was spent on a stage or in front of the camera. And when I was younger, I didn't struggle with food, but I was very aware of my body. I can remember being young and just like lying in the bathtub, like 8 years old, 9 years old, and just being so unhappy with my body. And my body went through like a lot of changes throughout the years. I was like a little bit overweight as a child, and then I danced a whole ton. So I became very slim, and then it kind of was like up and down my whole life. And I stopped dancing and I stopped acting at 18 years old, and I decided to, travel the world and go sort of discover myself. I felt like I was living in it was like very routine, constantly doing the same thing all the time with dancing and acting. And I knew that there was more out there. So I wanted to go explore. So I kind of quit everything, did a hard pivot, and moved to Australia when I was 18. And when I was in Australia, that's when a lot of my like more severe body image issues started. I was on this beach called Manly Beach, and I can remember just like looking down at my body and just feeling so unhappy with it. And so I decided that I was going to start dieting. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the cabbage soup diet, but it's this diet that, a lot of people did. And you basically just eat like a ton of cabbage soup for like 6 days straight and hope something happens. And so I started with that. And then that led to the next diet, and I was on over 50 diets in less than 4 years, and just always struggling with food and measuring and on and off the scale. And it was just, it consumed so much of my life to the point where like I didn't have the mental capacity to funnel my creativity into anything else, because I was just so consumed with the obsession of body image and calories in and calories out. And it was very stressful and very overwhelming. And so after I went through like 4 years of that, I was actually a personal trainer at the time. So it felt very out of alignment to be helping people get healthy when I wasn't healthy. And I can remember one of my girlfriends took me for a walk, and she just said, like, I know that you're struggling with this, and I know that this is a huge thing for you, and it's okay to get help. It's okay to be honest with us. And I kind of just like broke down and was like, wow, this is like the first time that I've actually talked about this openly and out loud to someone else. And so I was living in England, London at the time, and I ended up moving back to Vancouver, Canada, where I'm from, and just started again, started fresh. And I just realized that I can't fight myself like this anymore, and something needs to change. And so I spent 3.5 years in therapy and energetic healing and working with, doing all sorts of modalities. Breathwork was one of those things, and got to this place where I could feel my emotions finally. I was so numbed out. I was highly anxious and numbed out at the same time. Anxiety was kind of like the only thing I could feel. And I got to this place where I could experience like the highs of the highs. I could experience like this bliss and love in my body that I didn't think was possible. And feeling the contrast between being like numbed out and highly anxious, and also moving into this place of feeling like calm and peaceful in my body, and accessing deeper states of love and excitement and joy and bliss and all sorts of things. I realized that every human has the ability to do that. Like, we just need the tools and the strategies to be able to truly embody that. And so I kind of looked at my life over the last 3 years, and I went, what are the biggest things? What were the biggest catalysts in allowing me to truly end this battle with food and come deeper into my body? And I kind of packaged it a little bit and was like, what really helped me? And so I started just sharing that with people. At the time I was wanting to be a real estate agent. And so I was pursuing that while kind of helping people, just for free on the side, just because I wanted to share what I learned. And a lot of the things that I was sharing with people, they were implementing and helping themselves with food. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. Like, I think there's more to this that I need to explore. And so one thing led to the next, and I started Hungry for Happiness about a year after that. So that's the current company I'm working on right now, is Hungry for Happiness. So we help people end the vicious battle of emotional eating and binge eating, overeating, body image issues, and help people reclaim their power and use food for health and hunger. So that's the short of the long.
Wow. I've heard with people that struggle with sometimes addictions or the eating issues, that sometimes, and I think this is the model in even Alcoholics Anonymous, that when you get to the place of being a mentor for someone else, like that's actually a key piece in your own sobriety, or like your own sanity, or being able to stay on that path of health.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, like, do you still struggle today? And like, does that help you, just knowing that you're this role model or this mentor for other people?
Yeah, I believe it never goes away. I believe that there is still a part of me that struggles with disordered eating. I've just changed the relationship I have to that part of me. And how I know that to be true is when I'm not taking care of myself, my brain can go like, oh, wouldn't it be easier let's just like restrict a little bit, or let's just do this, or like I can hear that voice talking to me. And the difference now is it doesn't manifest in my behaviors, because I'm able to manage that part of me and love that part of me and soothe whatever is actually going on. Because it's never about the food, it's never about the exercise, it's never about the dieting or whatever it is. It's always so much deeper. And so being able to like go through the layers and discover like, okay, what is perpetuating this need to want to avoid, restrict, overeat, over exercise? Because that was a huge one for me. Like I became I was like addicted to exercise. And so now I know in my life today, if I feel guilt about not going to the gym or not exercising, it's not about the exercise. It's so much deeper. It's like, what is that representing, and what am I afraid of? And so it really is. I'm truthfully grateful for that part of me, because it shows me very clearly when I'm out of alignment. And so it allows me to be so consistent and so committed to my self-care, and not doing it out of fear, like I have to do this so that I don't overeat, or I have to do this so that I don't become addicted to exercise. But it's just a way of like, this is my way of being, and this is how I stay in my flow and in my alignment. And anytime anytime I go a little bit off to the side, that voice clearly tells me that I'm out of alignment, and then I can kind of shift back into what is best for me.
Mm. It sounds like you've developed an intimacy with yourself.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting. At any given time, I can hear so many parts of me talking to me. And I know that sounds weird, but I'll explain what I mean. Like, we have like our mental voice that's talking to us. And oftentimes when we're not connected to our soul, the mental voice is the loudest. And so we hear that the most. And it's also the voice of a lot of fear. So we have that voice talking, and then we have our soul. Like, what is our intuition and our soul's, like, that emotional part of us, or intuitive rather. And then we have our emotional bodies of like, what are our emotions communicating, and what are our physical bodies communicating? Like, when something's, out of alignment physically, what is that communicating? So at any given time, there's all of these like pillars of connection that are communicating to us. And it's up to us to like be the observer of all those and choose like, what message or what wisdom or what piece of knowledge is actually in alignment with the highest version of me. Because the majority of the stuff that goes on in my mind is not a reflection of the highest version of me, because it's rooted in fear and survival, and that's okay. But it's so important to know that, so I can know how to work with my thoughts, knowing that I still, we have reptilian brains. They're wired in for survival. And so it's just trying to protect me. But sometimes its way of protecting me is through actually stopping me from doing the things that I actually want to do, to grow more. And so it's about being aware that voice is there, and then going deeper and listening to the truth of what is.
Yeah. I recently had a friend give me this prompt, which was so amazing. My friend Karen, she said, when you're starting to go down that tunnel, or in that fear space, or in that negative space, like, ask yourself, can kind of snap out of it by asking yourself, what percentage of my higher self am I operating from right now?
I love that question. Oh, yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. I have one similar, and it's like, if my higher self was to choose right now, what would she choose?
Yeah.
It kind of like elevates us above our physical being and physical body, and gives us just like so much perspective. So that's also a beautiful one. But yeah, what percentage of my higher? That's gorgeous.
Yes. I have another one. A friend who was going through a really bad breakup was staying with me one time, and she was having such a hard time even just like getting out of bed in the morning. And so she continually kept asking herself, what would someone who loves themselves do? It was like she wasn't quite there yet, but like, just to ask the question, what would someone who loves themselves do today?
Yeah, they in therapy they call that opposite action. Like, what's the opposite of what I want to do right now? And it's beautiful, because action propels us into different frequencies always, right? And so we can't think about. So much of my work is not cognitive. We're not really using our minds. It's all body-based work, which is why breathwork is such a big modality and a big way I support. Because it's like, if I was to listen to my mind all the time, I wouldn't be where I am now. Like, especially at 5:30 in the morning when my alarm goes off, my mind is always saying, go to bed or go back to bed, no matter how much sleep I get, right? Or, my mind, when I'm on stage, it's my mind that freaks me out. My body's like, oh yeah, this is totally safe. This is where you're supposed to be. But it's my mind that's like, oh my God, are they going to like you? Are you going to mess up? Are you going to like forget what you're saying? And it's just so interesting to just listen. I love the word. It's so funny. I've always had a connection to like the word listen. And I've always been a great listener. And then I realized recently that like my name, Samantha, actually means listener. It's crazy. Wow. I was going to rebrand my podcast to be called The Listen. I might still do that one day. But it really is about like listening to, listening past the mind. Like observing the mind, acknowledging the mind, and then listening past it. What's underneath the mind? What's underneath the thought? what's underneath that voice? Because there's the mind can get very chaotic and cluttered, but the soul and the intuition is always so clear. It always gives us a very clear reading when we ask it and we listen to what it says. And so it's beautiful that we have that knowledge and that wisdom just readily available for us at all times if we're willing to just listen to it and furthermore trust it. I think we have evidence as to why our mind works in a lot of ways. Like, oh, I thought about this and I did this and this was the result. And okay, that's evidence. But humanity doesn't have a lot of evidence collectively for how our intuition in this day and age, we did back in the day, but in this day and age, for how our intuition is truly serving us. And so when I teach, intuitive decision making to the corporate world, they're like, wait, what? Like trying to teach intuition to a bunch of 65-year-old millionaires. That's fun. Men. That's always a fun feat. But the majority of the decisions that I make that are mind-based have a variable result. But I feel like 100% of the decisions that I make when it's heart-based and intuition-based are always right. I destroyed 50% of my company last week, which is really crazy because I've been building it for 5 years and it's very successful, and 50% of Hungry for Happiness is a lot. And I felt like there was this deep, visceral no of this one product that we have that's our base core product, that it's time to move on from it. And logically, it doesn't make any sense, especially financially, because it is, it does bring in money and et cetera, et cetera. And we have a big team who operates it and things like that. And it was just it was like this, stop doing it, stop forcing it, stop doing it. And it's all intuition. And I'm excited to see why that's the right decision in the months to come. But right now it feels a little bit confusing, a little bit scary. But I know every single time I followed my gut, it's always been the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more about alignment than what the logical, rational mind is telling you.
Exactly.
And this is really what I see is happening in our collective right now. It's the masculine, feminine, and we've been in this paradigm for so long of structure, achievement, moving forward, pushing, forcing, and what I really see happening right now is the heart, the feminine, the body, the emotions coming forth to bring balance to that. And when we are operating from our heart and our womb, that's direct connection to source. And it may not make sense in the same way to our brain, but in reality, the brain is meant to be of service to the heart. And
I love that so much.
Yeah, when we can have the structure and the support and all that we need in service to these inspiration that's coming from the heart and connected to source, it's that's the real, that's what's being asked of us, I think, at this time.
You're so right. I think the connection between the heart and the womb. It's so funny. This is so timely. I was chatting to my certification women yesterday who are doing the Hungry for Happiness certification course, and we were talking about the disconnect between the womb and the heart and how powerful that connection is. When we truly activate it and we communicate to each other, it's it feels like there's the sense of safety there.
Yeah. Yes. And so a lot of your work is coming back to the body, reconnecting with the body. And I use a lot of modalities as well, like somatics. I use tapping, EFT. We go into subconscious, things like that. And I know that breathwork is also a modality really powerful for healing trauma, healing, allowing things to surface that we didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about your experiences with breathwork?
Yeah. So I go to Bali quite often. It's my little haven. It's my little sanctuary. And so I'll go there and write my books or just play. And it's so funny. I feel very I live in San Diego in this beautiful area called Encinitas. And I feel, even though I'm an extrovert, I feel constantly over socialized because there's just so many amazing people here. And so when I go to Bali, it's just my time to just like chill. So I was there about 5 years ago, and it was right when I was starting Hungry for Happiness. And it was shortly after I was really feeling more like myself and ending the food battle. And I can remember being in a meditation class and or a breathwork class rather, and I for the first time, it was a 90-minute class, and for the first time I experienced like every single emotion possible to a human. Like it was incredible. Like I experienced like sadness, anger, rage, peace, contentment, love, joy, arousal, bliss, love. Like I experienced like there was so much contrast and there was so much going on. And for someone who fights with their body and fights with food, the bandwidth of emotionality is quite low. There was only a few things that I could actually feel because I was constantly fighting myself. And so anxiety was very prevalent. And so through this work, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually have a body. I can feel my body. My body is able to show me what needs to be processed. I can process it and cry and not have to find the reason why. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, what is this thing? And I was like, did I just like take drugs? Like, and it wasn't, it was simply just my breath. And so I just became fascinated with it. And I studied it and I would do it on my own, and it helped me so much in my healing. And so then I got certified and I started teaching it at my retreats. And it's just incredible to give someone an experience of 90 minutes and allow them to feel something that they've not felt in 60 years, if they're that old, or 50 years or whatever it is. And so my mission and my direction now is making breathwork mainstream. I feel like it's still not, it's like these beautiful ancient modalities that people have brought into the modern world, such as yoga and meditation, and breathwork's not yet there. And I feel this like deep call to be like the vessel and the facilitator to allow this work to come be more readily available and accessible to people, because it's just so powerful. And some people do like plant medicines and ayahuasca and things like that, and if that's their way of doing it, great. And also there's so many people where that's either not accessible or not a desire for them, and they don't realize that they have everything to experience those states in their body right now. And so it just excites me so much. And I am so passionate about healing the world through breath.
Yeah, it's all within us. Like we have we don't need to take the drugs. It's like you go on a high and then by the end you come back down. And
Exactly.
Really
Exactly.
powerful.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or resources for people that are like, oh, I'm just hearing about this for the first time. Where do I go? How do I get involved with something like that?
Yeah. So we're going to be releasing, we've created like journeys, which are meditations, but breath work. And so what's really important with breath work is intention and frequency with music. So we've created journeys where we take people on a journey using their breath, and with the music, it allows the body to go at different frequencies. And it's so beautiful. So, you can, my Instagram is where I'm going to be like sharing how to access those, which are coming out in the next couple of weeks. But if you just Google, go on YouTube and just go holotropic breathing, that's a beautiful way of just like learning more about it. And we'll be releasing lots in the next couple of weeks. So the company is called Pause Breathwork. So that's where it's all going to be through.
Cool. That's something that you are seeding right now?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's so interesting. It like the food and body is my baby, and it has been for so long. And I've invested my whole life not my whole life, but the last 10 years for sure into it. And I'm getting to this place now where Hungry for Happiness is asking more of me. And I had this moment where I was like, what's the next thing? And it came in so clear. It was like, you need to teach the world to breathe. And it was like this moment. I was driving from LA back to San Diego, and it just hit me so hard. And I'm like, wow, like that is my next calling. And it was so clear. So
amazing. I love those intuitive.
I know. I'm like, where did that come from? That makes total sense. But where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you also about your experience as a business owner and an author. And I've also written a book, and I wanted to hear a little bit about your journey with writing it, getting it out there in the world. Was it vulnerable? Was it hard? What was your journey like?
You know, it's so interesting. I love writing so much. Like it's so therapeutic for me. It's so like, I said to my boyfriend yesterday, we were sitting out on my patio, and I was like, you know what? Like, if I was an author for the rest of my life, I'd be really happy. You know, like I know there's this element, like I'm quite talented at business. I don't know where that came from, but I can create things and get things off the ground really quickly and easily. And I've realized recently I'm not great at the day-to-day. So my COO the other day was like, Sam, you need to like get out of the company because you just come in and make things worse. So I have an amazing team who, you know, like operations and marketing, and I was an amazing COO and salespeople, and like our team is amazing. My talent is not in the day-to-day, the operations, the granular things. Like I'm just not good at that stuff. Like I'm very much like visionary writing, speaking, podcasting. Like this is where I shine, not in the business. But I'm a quick start, so I'm really good at like having the idea, getting it off the ground, making it like casting the vision, and then letting people take it over. And so that's been an interesting shift for me because I never used to have a team. I ran Hungry for Happiness on my own for 3.5 years. And so it's only been recently that we've grown the team. But the process of writing the book was beautiful. It's funny, you know, I was only nervous for my friends and family to read it. It was really strange. I was like, I don't care if strangers read this, whatever. But I was like, oh my God, my mom's going to think that like my issues were because of her. And I told her that. I'm like, Mom, please don't blame yourself for like any of this. But yeah, it was so funny. Like, I mean, I didn't care about anyone else except for like my close friends and family because I wasn't super open about like my struggles and like how it was affecting me and how I felt and things like that. So it was interesting. Like that was healing in and of itself. It's actually cool that we're talking about this right now. It just got picked up by like a major publishing house, which is so awesome. So I self-published it when I first did it. And so we're taking it off self-publishing and we're redoing it, which is really exciting because I wrote it about 2 years ago. And since then I've grown a lot and I've, the things that I really care about have shifted. And so we're going to like edit it a little bit and add some new things in that are active for me right now. So yeah, that's really exciting.
Wow, congratulations. That's huge.
It feels good.
Yeah. And how about just being the spokesperson and face of this company and giving your talks and getting out there? What has that journey been like for you?
That's my favorite thing in the whole world. I like have goosebumps even thinking about that. I love in-person connection. I love being in front of people. I love like my soul is just so happy when I'm in a room, whether that room is 10 people or 5,000, and just like sharing my truth and sharing my journey and helping people and supporting people and communicating a different perspective, communicating a perspective from love and from higher self and just like giving people a chance to choose what they want to believe and giving people a chance to untangle all the conditioning that they're living under. And it comes down to choice of like, I'm not saying like, hey, come over here. This is the way it's done, but here's another option. What do you want to choose? And that for me feels like it feels so in alignment, like writing, speaking, being in front of people, putting myself out there. Like I've always been an extrovert, and I've always been, as I mentioned earlier, a dancer and an actress, and I now get to speak on behalf of my soul, not a character. Because I was always like a character, in a movie or whatever. And so now it's just me being me, sharing me. And like, so it's cool to just literally get paid to be me.
Yeah. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And tell us a little more what's coming up in your business. Just what are you excited about?
So what I'm really excited about, so the mission of Hungry for Happiness is helping 1 million people end dieting by 2020, and the battle with food and the battle with their body. And so we decided that we're no longer going to be running any like group programs or one-to-one coaching or anything like that. And we're only going to focus on our certification program, because it's an amazing program. The women get a ton of results. They get to start their own businesses, and they get to, create their own little empires. And that's how we're going to reach 1 million people. It's not through us directly. We're kind of the academy that empowers people to help people. And that's how we're going to grow more sustainably. And so that really excites me. I want to take like the book club, like the archaic book club idea, and turn that into like breath circles. So I want to help people. I want to train people how to use the pause technique in homes all over the world. And yeah, just start like little breath circles of like helping people connect to their bodies through like small groups. Intimacy and connection is so important to me. And, facilitating intimacy and connection for other people is really exciting for me as well. So that excites me. And then just doing a lot of like speaking and running retreats. That's my next kind of year.
Amazing. I love that idea of just like training the teachers and the people who are going to bring the work even further.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
And what tips do you have for people if there are people listening who are struggling with their relationship to their body? If there was something they could do today or this week, or a perspective shift, or anything that you could give to them around just coming into that deeper relationship with themselves, that healing relationship?
Letting yourself know that it's safe to feel. We have a very dysfunctional relationship with feeling. And crying and emoting and showing emotionality. There's a lot of conditioning around the fact that we shouldn't do that, and we have to be strong and all this stuff. And feeling is the pathway to so much growth and so much transformation and so much abundance. And being comfortable with our own emotionality is just such a superpower. Like it's just such a beautiful way of living. And when we are cut off from that, it creates a lot of like tension and anxiety for us. And so just giving ourselves permission to feel and trusting your body knows exactly how to handle feeling, and it's not going to overwhelm you and shut your body down. It knows exactly how to handle it. So giving yourself permission to just feel and experience.
Yeah. I totally agree. I feel like this is huge right now of what we can do in our own healing and for the greater collective. Just learning to that intimacy again with yourself, holding yourself, being your own mother in that way.
Oh, exactly. Like mothering your inner child. So much of what we demand in the external world is just the internal needs of our like wounded inner child. And if we can, come and be with her or him and acknowledge their needs and love them and make them feel safe, our codependency for things externally will diminish, because we're fundamentally meeting our own emotional needs. And so that's such an important point. And thank you for bringing that up, because it's so needed. Like whenever I feel like I need something, or like whenever I'm operating from deficit or lack or limitation, whether it's like I need this experience or I need this money or I need this, it's like, okay, what is underneath that? Like, what is just like one layer underneath that? Because it always shows us it's something, it's like a secondary need, so what is the primary need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to share just where people can find you? Anything that's, Hungry for Happiness is the podcast. They can find that. We'll include some links, but anything you want to share?
So I'm very active on my personal Instagram. So I answer all of my DMs. So if you guys have any questions on anything I shared, feel free to hop over there. It's just at Samantha Skelly. And Hungry for Happiness is where you can find out information about the certification course and any of the retreats that we run. We still do retreats all over the place. So if that's of interest, you can head over there. But other than that, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. And any other closing words you have for people to just take away from this conversation? And then I'll just end with a short prayer.
Something that's really present for me right now is we're such creators. We have this incredible ability to create exactly what we want and how we want it and how we want it to feel. And also we're incredible destroyers. So if there's anything that is going on in our lives, any thought patterns and beliefs or anything, we have the ability to simultaneously destroy what's not serving and create what is. And all we need is a little bit of like presence and intentionality behind that in order to direct our energy into doing so. And complacency won't get us there. So take some time today and just like even ask yourself the question, like, what are 3 things I can destroy that are not serving me? And what are 3 things that I can create to move closer to the highest version of me? And you don't even have to figure out the how, just by setting that intention is so powerful and energetically will be guided in that direction. So that would be my invitation for you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Creating the space.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, I just want to invite you and everyone listening to take a moment to just breathe that in. Just everything that's been shared today, just allowing that to permeate, to soak up, to anything that you want to take with you, just bringing that right into your heart. Feeling into that power of being a powerful destroyer and creator of our reality. That which you wish to let go of or burn, just seeing that in your mind. And then just letting that go. Calling in that new vision, something yet to be brought into form. Trusting in your body, spirit, mind, power to bring this forward. And so may this podcast be of support to you on your path. May we continue to walk this path together, to know that energetically we all are here on this path, supporting each other. May we continue to have the courage, the self-love, the patience, the willingness to be with our feelings and our emotions as we step forward to creating an even more beautiful world. I'll bring my hands to my heart, just with so much gratitude for Samantha for being here and sharing her wisdom with us today. And of course, for all of you listening, being here and doing your own work. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to our show today. We would love to hear what you think. Take a moment to hop on over to iTunes and leave us a review. We'd be so grateful to receive it. Until next time, namaste.